Today I'm going to be making the Right Gauntlet from the Mandalorian. I recently made the left, so just continuing along with this cosplay. The patterns for this are up on Facebook if you'd like to download them and make one of your own. First two things you're going to need to cut out is the right top and the right bottom. And these I've cut out of 6mm hobby foam. It's a little more dense than the cheap craft foam I usually use. And I'm going to heat both of these curved. Over the top one, I'm going to try to leave at least a bit of a flat spot through the center, as much as I can anyways. Okay, that's the top and bottom right, and like I mentioned, the top kind of made it a little flat through the center and just curled it around the edges. The bottom I made pretty round. This might be a little bit too curved. I'm not sure yet. I'm wearing two long sleeve shirts because that's basically what I'm going to be wearing. I've ordered the stuff for the upper body that I can glue the chest plates to, but I don't have it yet, so I'm just wearing two long sleeve shirts to give me an idea of fit, similar to what I did with the left one, and I still have significant room in the front here if I have a glove on that my hand can still move if I'm wearing this, and that's kind of the whole point. So make sure you double check your patterns against your own body size before you actually start cutting them and starting to make this. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some polypro strap, same as I did with the left gauntlet, and it's a synthetic nylon strap. Super glue is really easy, and I'm going to glue a couple pieces of this in so that this can hinge and open, so I can put my arm in, and then I'll put straps and velcro on this side. I actually have to put velcro on this and the left one since I didn't have velcro at the time of filming the left gauntlet, so I get to do both in this video. Okay, I put my 3 straps in so I can open and close it. And then after that I put in another 3 straps on this side, but these have velcro with velcro on the inside so that I can close it up once I get it on my arm. So for right here and now, this is as set up as it can be, so I'm going to set this off to the side. And next we're going to look at the number 1 accent, which is 6mm EVA foam, and the number 2 accent, which is 2mm, and I'm going to glue these two together. What I'm using to glue these is contact cement, and how it works is you brush it onto each surface to be bonded, and then after giving it 15 to 20 minutes to set, it will be ready to be glued. Okay, so that's the combined number 1 and number 2. Next, you're going to cut out your number 3 accent, which is 6mm, and your number 4 accent. Now, the number 3 has an outward bevel. That side's going to go at the bottom. You're going to glue your number 4 5mm accent at this end here of your number 3. The number 5 is a piece of 2mm EVA foam, and I wanted it to stand out since it's all glued together. And these I just scribbled in with a ballpoint pen to kind of give like that little indentation, and I just cut a little strip to put at the end of it. And where you glue this combined piece on top of your number 2, how to measure that out is to use the base pattern for your fuel indicator box, and that's how you will measure off and mark where you're going to glue your combined 3, 4, and 5 to your combined at number 1 and number 2. Okay, I glued this into place, and for this other piece here, it kind of has a pyramid shape with a flat top. What I did was I just took a scrap piece of 6mm and drew 2 lines 3mm apart, and then did 2 outward cuts to get an angle. Now I'm going to round this off and just kind of sand everything with my Dremel rotary tool before I glue this onto the actual gauntlet itself. Okay, now that that's all sanded up, I need to glue this onto the top here. And where you're going to glue it is right down the center. And that's why I was saying you need that flat space at the top, because that's where we're going to glue it. Once you get it lined up, have the back of this here line up with the back of this. The front end will hang over. Same as before, contact cement, apply to both surfaces, let sit for 15 minutes, glue it together. Okay, I've applied my contact cement and waited 15 minutes. Now I can glue these two together. And if you're new to working with foam and adhesives and things like that, the 2 contact cement brands that I have used that I can say without any doubt work very well are Podge and DAP. There may be others I don't know of. There may be others that aren't available in the States here. I don't know. But I do know that the others I've come across here have been few and far between. And those ones also have nowhere near the effectiveness as the DAP or the Podge, and constantly having to wait 15 and 20 minutes in between having to like glue and press your pieces together is pretty lame, but the end result is usually really, really good. Okay, there, and that helped to pull that flat shape in line. Okay, let's go ahead and glue on some of the other accents. I think I may actually run a bit of super glue along here just to make sure this seam stays where I pushed it. Okay, next I have the number 6 accent piece, which this angle goes towards the front and this straight corner goes towards the back. This tab will be overlapping onto the lower part here, and this will be glued up here like this. And you may notice that this number 6 already has a curve in it, and that is because I preheat formed it with the heat gun before I applied my contact cement and made sure it would line up on here nicely. Do my velcro a little bit, put this closed. Yeah, like that. Okay. The next thing I did was took the number 7, and that's just a filler piece, and it goes underneath this assembled piece that we glued on here to just match it up with the gauntlet, and also to make it a little thicker. I'm going to take a Dremel and sand this at an angle. And next, I took this pattern piece here, a little flame support piece, and the supports you're going to need 1, 2, 3, and then back here in the rear, you're going to go ahead and glue together 5 of them side by side. And the placement, you can put as many of these as you want. If you want to fill it up, you can. I didn't. But the placement, they don't need to be any longer than this accent piece right here, the number 8. And the slots in this were kind of tricky to cut. If you want, you could probably skip this and just cut some lines into it with an X-Acto knife. Speaking of which, I did use my X-Acto knife to cut some lines into this number 6, and I heated it a little bit as I curved it so the lines would open up and so that this would wrap around a little more smoothly. Now, before I glue these together, I'm going to make sure these are all even. These are really tough to cut out. I use scissors. I thought that was easier than an X-Acto knife. But these are really tough to cut out. But I want them to be even for whenever I glue this on. So I'm going to even that out, and I'm going to sand this to a point. Number 8 is on. Next, what I need to make is the actual apparatus that is a flamethrower. I just have this Artist Loft number 4 paintbrush here that is totally ruined and was going to go in the trash, but I decided, this is about the right size as of, say, a dowel rod that I would use to make this. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to cut about a 3.5-inch section off of this, and then about 1.25 inch width piece of 2mm EVA foam. I'm going to contact cement around it. So yeah, here is the paintbrush handle. I put about 1.25 inch length of 2mm foam, and then another 1/2 inch of 2mm foam that I cut a couple lines in with my X-Acto knife. I contact cemented that on, and contact cemented a little strip here on the tip. I made sure to blunt and flatten the tip, and I just glued it on with super glue. And that's pretty much it for now. There are a couple other little details, but I'm not going to do that right this second, because now we're going to move on to building the fuel level indicator. At least that's what I'm assuming it is. I don't know. It has these 3 yellow triangles on it. If you remember, I had this block, and I said use that to measure the space. Okay. So how this is going to work is you're going to put the fuel base like that, and I took my Dremel and ground a channel into it. On top of that, the number 2 will go, followed by the number 3. All of these are 6mm, and what this is for is so that I can slide this light into there. I picked these lights up at Hobby Lobby. Now, you can use any light system you want, or you could use no lights. If you don't want any lights, just stack up 3 of those square blocks of 6mm foam, and then paint some 3 red triangles in a black box. That'd be just fine. But I have these lights, and they are quite bright, considering how cheap they are. I think they're about 10 or 25 cents each, but you have to buy them in a bag of 50, so 25 or 50. But how this will work is I'm going to put a red panel in here with cutouts for the triangles with black foam over that. I'll show you that here in a second. But I wanted to build this separate because I'm going to paint these two things separate. This is going to get painted by hand. This is going to get painted with my airbrush, and the two things are going to get glued together. So, turn this light off and glue these together, one on top of the other. Okay, I sanded down the sides of this to make sure it was smooth, and I had to put a little blurb of hot glue in the end because the light went in too far. I corrected this on the final pattern that I uploaded, but for the meantime, yeah, that's about as far as I want it to go in. I want this little end to be sticking out so I can take it in and out. I also took a red Sharpie and colored the light so it won't be such a bluish white light. And the next thing I have is this 2mm piece, and it's the triangle pattern. And you have to cut 3 triangles out of the center. And if you have a pure red LED light, you probably won't have to do this, but I have some red heat formed plastic here and some clear. Now the clear is pretty easy to find, the red not so much, but I dremeled this so that these will fit down inside here, and then I can glue my 2mm pattern over it all. I'm going to put all this together and come back and show you how this looks. Okay, this is all the pieces assembled, and then pop a light in it so it'll light up, and this is going to go right there ultimately, but like I say, first I need to seal and paint these separately, and I'm going to seal these with some gloss Mod Podge and a brush. Alright, with several layers of Mod Podge, only 2, and a couple layers of gloss acrylic black paint, and it's done being sealed and primered. And now I'm going to gradually layer up Createx Wicked Silver airbrush paint with my airbrush until it gets a silver that I like. Alright, I finished layering on the silver chrome, and I think it looks pretty good. And I hand painted this with Model Master Silver Chrome enamel, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The Right Gauntlet is done much more simple and quick, thankfully, than the left gauntlet. That was a pleasant surprise. Alright, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I made this a bit more slim and streamlined than the left, intentionally, just for the fact that there's a couple props I want to make to wield with my right hand that I don't want a bunch of stuff sticking out to get caught on it and cause me to possibly drop it and damage it. But that's all stuff for the future. As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and have a great day.